Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am SpookyLith. Welcome. Come one, come all. Here we are. I'm in Ark. It's probably my top game. Love this game. If you've never played it, go play it. If you have played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Ark Survival Evolved. But forget about Ark. That's just on because I'm just milling about. What we're really here to discuss is, well, first of all, let's talk about the mic quality. Because in the last episode, I was just telling you that I've got myself a new mic, the Blue Yeti. Well, I ended up returning that microphone. Unfortunately, through the headphones, there was a rattle. Meaning, obviously, that something was broken inside, so I had to return it. But, you know, I've decided that at the end of the day, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need a better mic. I need something with better quality. There's no point beating around the bush. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it properly. And I am qualified in sound and music technology. That's what I have my degree in. So really, there's no reason for me to be using low quality stuff. I should really just get myself a proper studio setup. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a studio and get my quality way up there because it's important. Quality is very important, as you know, because all your favorite channels all have pinpoint perfect precision quality, and that's what you need in this day and era. And to be honest with you, there's not really any reason not to have that kind of quality now. You know, even something like a Blue Yeti it can be a really good mic in the right situation. I would have kept it were it not for the rattling. But unfortunately it rattled, and it just made me think, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I might as well go for quality. So that's what I'm going to do. But for the meantime, you'll have to bear with me with this microphone. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. I'll do my best to enunciate, because here in Yorkshire, where I'm from, West Yorkshire, we struggle with our enunciation sometimes. We're a little bit, our way of speaking is a little bit rounded off, we'll say. You might notice that. But nonetheless, here we are. It's great to be here for another episode. Still kicking, still ticking, as you do. And yeah, so here we are in Ark. I love this game so much. There's just so much to do. It's just an endless well of fun and good times. But enough about Ark. Let's get into the topic for today. So in the last episode, I spoke about mental health and I spoke about trans rights. But one of the things I spoke about then, and I'll probably speak about fairly often, is this situation, this conversation that we have, where we're talking about there being a left-right dynamic, the left versus the right, and of course all of that stems from this idea that there is a culture war, and that's what they're calling it. That's where it's labelled as. I think the right are the ones kind of mainlining that concept right now, but we're calling it a culture war, and I guess when you really think about it, that's sort of where it has become. So there's a few ways of looking at this culture war, and there's a few shall we say, categories involved with this conversation. So obviously we have our politicians. They represent the left and the right in politics. In the UK, that would be the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and in America it would be the Republicans and the Democrats. And that's the politics side of the left-right debate. But then on the other side of that, we also have the conversation of, you know, the people, the community having this left-right mentality. And what does that mean really? Why am I making a distinction, between left politically, right culturally, and right politically and left culturally? Why am I making those distinctions? Well, the reason I'm doing that is because what I've noticed is there is a major disconnect between what the people we'll say the boots on the ground people, what they want and what they're trying to achieve, as opposed to what the politicians and the pundits want and what they're trying to achieve, right? So we can say there's three layers to this. We have our politicians, then we have our pundits, which is our talking heads, our people on the TV who represent the left or the right, often obviously focused on politics, but also talking about the culture. And then we have the boots on the ground people, us, who, ooh, look at that raptor, who are, you know, living in this culture, living in these politics. We're the ones who feel the effects of all these decisions. We're the ones who live in them, right? So when we're talking about the left-right conversation, we're not just talking about politics. People would have you believe it's all politics, but it's not. We're talking about what it's actually labelled as, and that's culture, a culture war. So what is it I want to get into today? Basically, what people are missing when we're having these conversations is that there is, in fact, a distinction between left and right politics and left and right cultural ideas and philosophies, right? And what I'm hearing a lot, especially from the right, is I'm voting right, I'm voting right, I'm voting for the right-wing party. And it's like, okay, why are you doing that? And it's like, because I want, less immigration, because I want, trans people to not have the ability to get surgeries. I want homosexuality to be outlawed, whatever. I want to take away women's rights, right? That's a lot of what the right's saying right now. And that's what they want culturally. And they want their politicians on the right to bring about those cultural changes for them, right? That's what they're hoping for. And it's the same thing on the left. The left want what they want. They want people to have more rights. They want more freedoms. They want people to be able to have homes and places to live. Get rid of homelessness. They want the government to step in and make the world sort of a better place for everybody. Make it a more comfortable life for everybody equally. Whereas the right wants life to be better for them on the right. They want their rightist ideas to be respected and to be the law of the land, and they don't respect the left's ideas of freedom and openness, right? So when we're talking about now the right are going towards their politicians and saying, look, I don't want to see homosexuals walking around, I don't want to see transgenders walking around, I don't want to see coloured people walking around, I don't want immigrants, right? What they're saying to their politicians is, I want you to change the law and make things happen in such a way that makes me comfortable and makes me be able to live my life the way I want to live it. And on the left, they're saying, I want the same thing, but to make me comfortable is to make everybody comfortable, right? And they're going to these politicians and they're saying, you're the right-wing party, therefore I'll vote for you, because that means if you're right-wing and I'm right ideologically, you should then be making decisions that will bring about the things that I want, that I believe we mutually want, right? And that's because people believe that the politics are the same as the culture. The cultural ideas, that if I vote right politically, then my right-wing cultural ideas will be the thing that spreads. What people are not realizing is there is a distinction, and I can only say that so many times. There is a difference between what the right wants politically and what the right does politically, and what the people on the right want from their politicians when we're talking about boots on the ground. So, on the right, people are, like I say, we'll use immigration because that's a big one in this country. So on the right, people want less immigration. They want to see less people coming from foreign countries and essentially taking up job roles and eating into an economy that, in our opinion, on the streets, as I'll say, boots on the ground, in our opinion, the country hasn't got the resources to support extra people. We're barely supporting the people we already have. We have homeless people. We have a lot of people in poverty. There's a cost of living crisis occurring right now, and everyone's feeling it. Everyone's struggling. But at the same time that we're hearing the news of how we have a cost of living crisis, we're also hearing the news that more immigrants are coming, more asylum seekers are being let in, and obviously people are hearing that and making the connection that how are we bringing in more people when we're barely feeding the people we already have. And I think that's a fair point. I politically consider myself a centrist. Culturally, I'm probably left, but politically, I'm a centrist. And I can definitely see how there's a major problem with bringing in more people when we're having a cost of living crisis and we're barely feeding the people we have, right? Anybody can see that. Common sense. However, the people on the right who want less immigration are choosing to vote right politically. Now, what happens when you vote right? Well, what people are not realizing is, for example, here in the UK, we've had a right-wing government in charge, politicians in charge, for over like 11 years now, or something like that, and we've seen higher numbers of immigration more than ever. What the people on the right are not realizing is when they vote right, they're voting for the right. And what does the right do best? Well, the one thing that the people on the right do best is look out for the rich, look out for the interests of rich business people, right? So bringing in immigrants who are willing to take up all the low-skilled, low-wage jobs is perfect for the right-wing government, perfect for the right-wing politicians, because it means all their rich buddies that they're looking out for can get cheap labour. They love immigration, and when you vote right as a right-wing person, you don't seem to realise that you're voting for the party that's going to bring in more immigration. because they want the cheap labour. And it's just this is what I'm trying to get at now, is this disconnect between right-wing politics and right-wing culture. We're talking about culture war, but then people are making political decisions based on their cultural ideas, thinking that the right in government is the same as right in culture, and it's not. The things that people want to happen, less immigration, happens when a left-wing government's in charge. Why? Because a left-wing government doesn't want immigrants. They want the people already in the country to get jobs. They want to increase jobs for people already here. The people on the right want to bring people in from overseas, so that they can hire those people in their businesses and have cheaper labour and have like more relaxed labour. You see, when you have unskilled immigrants working for you who barely speak English, you get away with a lot more stuff as a boss, as a gaffer, right? You get away with more stuff. When you have, you know, native citizens working for you who first of all speak the language, second of all know their rights, and you know they're unionized and they're all banding together and getting things done. They know they can't take the mick with those people. They've got to pay them real living wages. They've got to do things by the book. They can't cut corners, because people are smarter than that. You know, people know better than that. But when you have a bunch of, you know, desperate immigrants from another country just trying to survive, trying to just get by in a country, like, you can exploit them. They're exploitable. They're vulnerable people, and they're exploitable in a foreign country where they don't speak the language, they don't know the local customs, they don't know what's acceptable, and they're not unionized. And it's the left that bring unions. It's the left that reduces immigration, because the left understands that all these jobs and all these roles, not only do they need to be to a certain standard so that people are working in good standards, they also need to have enough of an income and people are making enough money to live lives and have got enough of a wage, but also that those jobs need to go to the natives, to the people local first. And that's the thing that people seem to not realise. Boots on the ground people don't seem to make the connection that right-wing governments are the reason we have such high immigration. And it's just this is just the problem we have right now. It's this disconnect between what's right politically and what's right culturally. And as soon as people start to realise that, they might start voting properly. Yes, a right-wing cultural person can and should vote for the left-wing politically, because the left-wing in politics isn't the same thing as left-wing in culture. Left-wing politicians are not the same as a left-wing citizen, right? But everyone who's left-wing culturally votes left, and everyone who's right-wing culturally votes right. If you want more immigration, if you want less government involvement, if you want not less government involvement, but if you want, you know, people to have more freedom to do what they want, if you want the rules to be a bit more relaxed, like in terms of like business, or just in terms of like even legally, if you want it more relaxed, then you actually vote right. But those are all the things we want on the left as a culture, but it's the right-wing politicians that bring those things, because they relax these laws, they bring in more immigrants, and they look the other way when businesses are doing shady things, and they loosen those things up because that helps their rich friends. It's the left wing that tightens the reins, and that's why these rich people will never want the left wing to be in charge. Not because the left wing will bring in more immigration and make more people gay, no, because the left wing will stop the immigration and will tighten up the reins and make working conditions better for the people of the country who are working those jobs. And that's the disconnect we have, and people are not realizing it. People are just not realizing it. We've had we've had a conservative right-wing government for 10, 11, 12 years now, and we've had higher numbers of immigration than ever before. Our healthcare system's been trashed. Corporations are getting away with murder. The government's given more money to corporations and businesses than they ever have in history, and this has all happened under a right-wing, so-called right-wing government. And people I still hear right-wing individuals saying, I'm voting right again, when it makes no sense for them to vote right, because the right wing's been doing the exact opposite to everything that they want. They want less immigration. They want, looser reins on business. They want less money being given out by the government, but they're voting for the government the political party that does all those things the most. So anyway, I can only go on about this so much, but I just want to drive the point home. There is a massive, massive, massive difference between left and right politically and left and right culturally, and it's just be careful that you're voting for the party that's going to bring the thing that you want. Just be very, very fucking careful. Anyway, that was a rant. I needed to get that out of my system because we were discussing the left-right dynamic in the previous video, and it's just, let's remember that there's a difference between politics and culture. Yes, those things coincide, and yes, politics brings in cultural changes, but make sure you're voting for the people who actually align with what you want. Don't be voting for people who are going to do the opposite just because they have the same namesake. Yes, they're a right-wing government, but no, that doesn't mean they're actually going to bring in things that the right wing wants, because it benefits them more to bring in the opposite. And that's just the reality of it. So watch out for that, people. Be careful when we're talking about this culture war that you're actually fighting for the side you think you are, because this is all very, politicians are very sneaky people. They know how to play people, and the right wing government plays the right wing ideology perfectly, and it's just absolutely insane. Anyway, I've been SpookyLith. This has been another episode of my little podcast. I'm going to get back into longer episodes soon, but for now, it is where it is. This is what we've got, and this is what we're working with in terms of quality, but it will get better, all in good time, and that's what we're hanging on for. So, you know, it's been a blast, and I'll catch you on the next video. I'm SpookyLith, and you take care of yourself. I'll see you next time, and, you know, love and shit. Remember to like and subscribe. Like, subscribe, leave a comment if you agree, disagree. If you have anything to add, please do leave a comment. And yeah, it's fantastic to have you here. It's been a pleasure, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'll see you, but you won't see me. Alright, I'm SpookyLith. Peace out.